Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Christiaan Hofman. He is an author and wellness expert, and his goal is to inform listeners about critical aspects of our well-being and demonstrate how to enhance it by examining our self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence, limiting beliefs, and our emotional and psychological states. Welcome to the show, Christiaan.
Thank you very much, AJ. Nice to be here.
You are
Indeed.
welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form. And
Yep.
I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We will be talking about self discovery and holistic well being. We'll also talk about your book. In that backdrop, we'll all have our discussion. But before that, Christiaan, let's understand a bit more about you for the audience, a bit about your background, your journey, so that the audience knows who they are listening to and also learn from your journey itself.
All right. Yeah. My journey itself. Well, I'm very ordinary. I don't do much too special things. I always think I still put my color washings with my whites sometimes. Apart from that, I started out with martial arts, and from the martial arts side, I started to discover more the internal self. And when I was a little bit older, I decided to go to England first when I was 16 years old, and basically by myself. I was with a schoolmate, but he got homesick, and eventually he had some issues. He had to leave. Um, After that, I went to Australia for a year, and also for self discovery mostly. And I went to train into Hong Kong for martial arts. So I did that for a while, came back, and went back to university because I thought, look, I need to learn more. And also, I had a more clear direction of what I wanted to learn instead of what people told me what I should be doing. So I went into the field of sports. I always was very energetic, and I like working out in a sports form. So I didn't like to work out to go to the gym. I didn't like the old fitness idea and bodybuilding idea. Um, yeah, I didn't want it to be bulk. I always wanted to be nimble, fast, quick, and to use everything that I have in my power. So I developed my own system, and that's called Sport Natural. That's the company I have right now, and that's what we're doing with a lot of people here in Texas. So yeah, and then here we are after writing a book about that journey. It's a it was part of a memoir, but I changed it up to make it a fiction book because I put a fictional character in it, and I always had an idea about psychology, and over the last 100 years, there's so many things have been written, and I wanted to see if I could put it on one page. So it's pretty hard to put some things like that in on one page. So over 100 years, I had a model, and that's in the book, and I lead the story to that model, and that's yeah what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are doing a lot of things about, you talked about being a simple person, you know, martial arts, you are into sports, and so many things. You are now an expert, you are an author, expert in wellness, creator of the sport natural method, developer of the defense mechanism model, founder of sport natural. So many things you are doing. And I want to understand, when you are part of sports, there is already, you know, so much about yourself.
Yes.
And so why did you have to go separately for self discovery to another place? What is this self discovery about? Do you have to see outside to see inward, or do you have to see inward to see outside and learn about ourselves? Help us understand this first.
I think you ask very old questions, but very difficult to answer certain things. But to give an answer, I think indeed, if you look a little bit inside, it's easier to look outside. the world involves around the self. So that we are very kind of selfish, right? Egotistical or egocentric, and that's all good. But you want to define yourself, and if you try to define yourself, you're going to have yourself like in a pickle, because I don't think it's easily done. Even if you are 70 years old, to define yourself, I don't think you should be starting with that, and surely not ending with that either. It's just life that you try to do. But what you can try to define is, okay, how do I want to do life, and how do I want to look into the world? Because if the world is like projecting on you to be something that the world wants you to be, and that's in from the culture, that's from religion, from your upbringing, from everything outside of your influence, and with that, eventually, of all the input, you start the questions like, but okay, wait a minute, who am I in this case? Because I know what I need to be in social constructs of life. So in my model, and this is lived with Freud and Carl Gustav Jung, psychiatrist, psychologist in this case, where you look at the ego and the identity. And I think they both kind of are in the same realm, but I don't think that ego is necessarily an entity that a lot of people talk about. I think it's part of the defense mechanism that we have. So our feelings, our emotions, in our ego, that makes one defense mechanism, and that is like what we are protected by. So if you say like I'm talking about myself, so if you're not caring about your words, and you say like, when I express myself in the I or in the me form, um, what am I referring to? Because I can refer to the I and me form as in my feelings, my emotions, or is it part of an identity that I start to carry out, or even my ego? So if you're starting to do that, there are entities attached to that. But the entities are like self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence. And this is what builds the identity. So it's very important to understand concepts, I think. And I'm not saying the concept that I use or the words that I use are the right ones, but I think it's a useful tool to have a clearer understanding that you can use in your life for clarity. And I think we are highly maybe lost in a certain way. And I think we are in search not for motivation, but we are in search for clarity. And that's what I try to bring a little bit more clarity.
A little bit of more clarity. So let's understand a bit more from you, Christian. You talk about, as I said, about self discovery.
Hmm.
And then you also talk about giving back to the community. What is this self discovery? Is it about understanding ourselves and moving towards our own goals and ambitions, moving away from the community? Or does self discovery bring us better to the community? How would you like to tell that? Because a lot of people who discover themselves, discover money for themselves, they start moving away from community and in fact become a danger to the community. And as you can see, with so many things happening around us.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of things can be corrupting. And if you're not
Self discovery can be corrupting.
yes, that too. I mean, you have if you are a monk and you're going to walk off into the woods and you are busy with yourself, I mean, you're not in the community anymore. So this is it's a selfish want that you try to pursue, and it is also a certain form. You can think, oh, it's very impressive, but I think it's a kind of an easy step too. It's more difficult to be out in the world with other people and communicate and be yourself, while the voices that you hear is from someone else and they're affecting you, and it's an affecting in a certain way. So it, we try to survive in our world. So the only thing that we want to do is like self-sustain. We want to prevent that we're dying. So because of that, we going to duplicate ourselves with having children. But we're not only doing that, I think, in a physical way, we also do it in a conceptual way. That means me talking to you now, I put my ideas inside you. So you have to think about it and maybe do something with it, and maybe I form you a little bit. So in that way, it's part of my survival to give something from myself to you. Now, if you are a person that says like, "Hey, whatever you say, I don't want to hear it," and I think you're ugly and stupid too, then that return comes back to me and it does something to me, and that is scary, right? To be your authentic self. So to walk off into the woods or go to Australia and not coming back and say like, yeah, I'm busy with myself, I don't think it's a helpful step in the long run. I think it's in a small uh, transition part. It's like, hey, but who am I and how do I want to establish myself? My self actualization, we're trying to do is, I think that's a good step for it.
Right, right. And you talked about, influencing by others, or influencing others, or by getting influenced by others. So you talk about, breaking free from limiting beliefs through independent thinking. What is this independent thinking? Are we free that much to be independently thinking? We see everyone is trying to influence us, from
Yeah.
the market to the social media to
Yes.
everywhere around us. So help us understand about this independent thinking. How can we first achieve that state of independent thinking and then attack the limiting beliefs, etc.?
Right. Well, I got it on my book. I think you need to be rebellious a little bit in the beliefs, right? So you have to go attack a little bit what people are trying to put inside your brain. Now, I'm not very flowy type, so I'm not really dealing with. And this is part of what I try to come. Like if you do into go into meditation and maybe chakras and everything, you are trying to be interested in, and it's way cool. But if you start to meditate, you start also to understand that your mind is constantly talking, is constantly busy, and you cannot really stop that. And even if you try, even if you can stop it for, let's say, a minute, you're doing great. But what at what cost? Of 20 minutes trying to do it and be miserable about it, you're trying to fight the monkey inside you. And I'm certainly a monkey because I was born in 1980, so it means in Chinese calendar, and I'm the monkey. Apart from that, it's like, how do you find that quietness and the calmness to explore yourself? And I just recently today actually found that out for myself, and because I talked about it with my wife. I think the best state to be in, and Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, I think his name, he wrote a book about flow, and he says like, the flow state, that is that quiet state, that what brings happiness. And I think it for a lot of people it's difficult to become in flow state, and I think it's easy to come in flow state, and only to do it by singing. If you dare to sing out loud, right, and reverberate and listen to that frequency, even with some people around, that is a form of a self-expression and clarity, flow, because you cannot do anything else. If you do something complicated, you stop singing. So it has to do with frequency, flow, and just be you. So in that case, I can show you it, on the book, and it's you can pick this up at Amazon or whatever you want to do it. But embracing autonomy to appear rebellious in the shadow of beliefs, and that's what I exactly mean, in the shadow of beliefs, because of put try to put beliefs inside of you and trying to influence you. Nothing wrong with it. We are all influenced, and that's okay too. But you want to pick your information stream. You want to pick your side of who can influence me. Who do I let myself influence by? And you cannot always control that, because a lot of things are outside of your control. You don't even see it. But if you become aware of it, and that's why I think it's helpful sometimes to meditate, or to just become a little bit mindful of, aware of what's going on around you. This is, I think, where you work on yourself, and to better yourself in that way. Now I lost a little
Right.
bit the question
No
originally.
problem. No, no, no. We are very much on the track, and that is where let's talk about our well-being, true well-being, and you talk it by enhancing our self-worth, self-esteem, self-confidence. Let's look at that.
Yeah.
Who tells us about these things? Our self-worth. If we become independent in thinking, obviously we have achieved it, but nobody helps lets us do that. So how do we see our self-worth? What is our self-worth? Is it the society which tells us about our bank balance, about our type of job we do that becomes our identity? Or is it something else we should try and understand about ourselves? Because that self worth defines our self esteem, self confidence, and also our identity in our own eyes. So help us understand a bit through this, because your book is also interestingly called To Meet Yourself, Think for Yourself.
Yes.
So
That's the
so
thing for
quote from
yourself.
your book if necessary for understanding this.
Yes. Well, I think for yourself, that comes with that rebellious side, right? You have to be strong enough, brave enough to do that. And if you are not want to hurt people's feelings and everything else, it's a little bit difficult to become rebellious. Anyway, I'm always was kind of a rebellious type, so it's a little bit easier for me. And I'm sorry if I'm talking about it so easy. For some people, it's not, right? So, and I understand that. But I think the self-worth is the baseline. It's a layer, the ground layer. This is where how you say it, how much you like yourself, and how much you accept your own weaknesses, flaws, and your own BS. That's self-worth, and that's the base layer. And on top of that is the layer of self-esteem. So your self-esteem speaks to the sense of worth that you have. Um, yeah, I got something here in the book, but you can grow with experience and interactions around you. And that's why it's so important to be in connection with others. This is how you can build your self-esteem, also lose it, right? So it's that difficulty over there. And above that is self-confidence. Now, self-confidence is the energy source. So you can build the other layers with it. So I wrote it here is the interactions. Let me see. Yeah, the skills. Indeed, the skills that you conform your belief in yourself. So the better you are at something, the more you think, okay, I can do this, and you build that confidence with it. It also it portrays you like, hey, I can do this. It's easy for me to walk outside, talk with other people, and show off like, hey, look at this. I play the guitar. I'm very good at this. Listen to me. So it becomes easier, and this is also where your self-worth can grow. Now, this is how you grow. Then the self-worth is more like you have to be kind to yourself. You have to recognize the positives around you, but you have to also look after yourself. So that's things that you want to work on with building self-worth. If you don't have that, if you have strong self-worth but low self-esteem, that's the typical thing what you see more now because of the less interactions we have with other people. But that is with accepting yourself, and that's a little bit different than accepting your own flaws and everything what you hear in self-worth. So accepting yourself, forgiving yourself, handle criticism very well, taking care of your body and your own mind, that all is detrimental for that self-esteem. So this is kind of like, and I can go deeper in how and, but I mean that I think it's covers.
Right. There is much to learn from you. So your book, who is this book for?
Well, I think, and it's an analogy, by the way, it's a storyline. I think it's a for people that are just curious, like in normal setting, how are you then rebellious? How are you going against a certain norm? Now, I'm writing about that. I'm going to China. I've been there, right? So I'm going to do that martial arts. In this case, I'm practicing Wing Chun, and with a if you go to another culture and they have an established system like Wing Chun and you start as a beginner, how can I level up to the next level? Now, there's always rules in place and certain values and norms that they have. But I write in the book that I don't have the time to wait that long to be leveling up because I try to do my best. I practice there for myself. And I think I'm already better than most of the beginners. So I want to go to the advanced state. And how can you do that without kicking people against the shins? Because if I decide that I am able to do that, then I'm passing a teacher who says like, "Hey, you're good enough to go to advanced." So I'm dealing with putting myself out there in a different situation, and also, hey, I want to move on. I have the capabilities. Can you see me for who I am? I'm not your regular beginner. So, and that is that rebellious side. You have to have that. Okay, look at me. I'm profiling over here, and it takes you on that little journey of like, okay, I'm learning more, but also people are setting me back. And eventually, in the book, if you read that, I put myself back. I was eventually placed higher by a coincidence, a lucky break, I guess. And then I agree. It's like, hey, I moved too fast. I need to go back. I'm not at the expert level. I need to go back to this advanced level. I need to be learning more there. So you have to know who you are, where you are, and what you're doing, basically. And if you can say that well, if you can sell that well, then people say like, okay, yes, you are this good. So come over here. Or no, you cannot be here. You need to go back. Or you have to decide it for yourself. That's what I'm trying to say in life. If you are working for a boss and hey, you think you deserve more, well, show it. Bring more value. And if you bring more value, you can sell yourself that value to towards the boss. And if they don't see it, you can make a decision. Hey, I don't want to be here anymore. I do something for myself, which is what I would do. Start something for yourself. So yeah, that's a kind of the book. With that model behind it, you can have like a more deeper layer of like, hey, what's going on here? Yeah.
Absolutely. There is much to learn from you about these things, Christian. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to learn more from you, about your book, learn from your book. So, what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, you can find me recently. I just joined X, so you can find me there with Christiaan Hofman, without the A in the end because I could not fit all the letters in. So Christiaan Hofman. Also sportnaturel.com, and naturel as I will show it to you. Otherwise, they say natural, the English version, but at the end there's an E instead of an
Right.
A. So yeah, sportnaturel.com. You can find me over there, and you can always find me also on Facebook. And don't be shy to send me a hey, hello, I saw you on the podcast.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much, AJ. I enjoyed being with you.